Welcome to the Builders of Authority podcast, a show committed to helping you build authority for your brand. In the realm of business and personal branding, authority stands as a cornerstone. Authority isn't built overnight, it's built over time. So join us as we build something remarkable together. And now, here's your host, Adam McChesney.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Builders of Authority podcast. Our title sponsor for the Builders of Authority podcast is Go High Level, also known as GHL. GHL is the first ever all-in-one platform that will give you the tools, support, and resources you need to succeed and crush your marketing goals. Personally, I've used this software since 2020, and it's been a game changer for my business and our clients. If you are looking to level up your CRM and marketing game, then this is the platform to use. You can find a link for a free and extended 30-day free trial in the show notes, so take advantage of this opportunity to adopt GHL's amazing software and grow your business in the process. Quick reminder before we hop into today's episode that we are continuing to build our Builders of Authority community online. Builders of Authority is committing to helping you become the authority in your industry with personal branding. We have our free Facebook group that you can join by typing in Builders of Authority into the search bar or clicking a link in the comments. In that group, there's daily content, weekly live trainings, and much more. We have our Builders of Authority Mastermind, which includes a private Facebook group, live weekly trainings and sessions, and access to our personal branding course. Reach out to us at buildauthority.co or send me a DM on social media to have a conversation. Today's episode, we are here in person at Half Coast Studios. Going to be another special episode. A few months ago, I had the opportunity to interview my dad in person on the podcast, and it was one of the best and most downloaded episodes that we've had. Today, I get the opportunity to interview my younger brother, who's the youngest of all of us, Andrew. He just moved back to St. Louis and started working for me with Builders of Authority to help grow the company and take it to the next level. So, Andrew, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Yeah, is this your first ever podcast?
Yes, it is.
Awesome, man. Well, it's an honor to have you on here. Excited to have you as a part of the Builders of Authority team. So give people a quick rundown on who Andrew is.
Well, my name's Andrew, and I just moved back to St. Louis. I'm 21 years old. On the side, I run marathons for fun. I'm trying to get into ultra marathon running. But when I saw an opportunity to join Builders Authority, I just couldn't pass up an idea to build a business and not maintain a business. I'm coming out of the insurance industry, which taught me a lot, just, growing up in a professional environment. But definitely it was time to move on something that I was more passionate about.
So what were you doing inside the insurance agency?
So I was selling property and casualty, so home and auto insurance for State Farm. I got under a really good mentor who, will be a life friend for the rest of my life, and I'll be able to go to any time, and taught me a lot, just, not even about sales, but more, life skills and, financial. But it was definitely, he had been there for 25 years and, he was getting older, and I would love to have been there when he first started, but I wanted an opportunity to build a business, not maintain a business.
So talk to us about build a business, not maintain a business.
So I really like the idea that, you're only 6 months in, and I wanted to hop on early to be able to be in the youth stages of it. And instead of just what I did at State Farm was just maintain a giant book of business that we already had. We weren't really, going to be the next, top, because he already been at the top, It was more that I get to be a part of something that that's bigger myself and be able to be at the beginning of it.
Awesome. And so prior to State Farm, what were you doing?
So I was in phone sales for a small company called Easy Wireless, which helps people who are in government aid get a free phone. So I worked outside sales in a tent alone. So that was an interesting job. And then before that, I worked in a warehouse for Bass Pro. And then prior to that, I was in college. College was not for me. But it isn't for many people these days, so I'm not alone. But yeah, that's my story so far.
Yeah. So why wasn't college for you?
So I definitely had too much fun my freshman year, but other than that, I realized that what I was doing the first 2 years of college was just extended high school. I never really got into my major classes. I was going to major in film because I didn't want to do business because you learn from a business teacher who's never ran a business. They know how to teach business, though. So I didn't really see that as making sense. And I thought that I think experience is way better in the professional world. And people are going to care that, down the line that I have more experience than a 4-year degree.
Yeah. So you talked about obviously college not being for you and the aspect of, hey, I can get more real world experience than anything else, which is what most people obviously care about. You also went on what I would consider a personal development journey. So
Yes.
running marathons, reading books, YouTube University, whatever you want to call it. How did that kind of transpire?
So back in 2022, I was really addicted to marijuana. I like more than most people ever are in a lifetime, and I got to the point where it became a health issue. I started to have really bad lung pain. I still to this day have no idea what it was. The doctors could never figure it out. But I said, if I can run a marathon, I'm fine. And so the only thing that helped was cardio. And so I quit everything cold turkey because I had to. And I started running. I got more into it. I hated it for like the first 4 months, but it was literally medicine. Because it, opened up my lungs for the first time since I hadn't worked out in 2 years. And so I started, going down the personal development rabbit hole. And it's been a hell of a journey for 18 months. I've definitely improved a lot, just my day-to-day life. And if you ask anybody who knew me in 2022, people to this day still are like, what happened? They're so confused because especially all the people I met in college. They saw this one version of me, the party, have fun version, and then I, was who I am now. And so it came to a big surprise, but for a lot of people, it was just, unexpected. But, it was definitely something that, like, I don't regret, the 18, 19-year-old version of me because it made me who I am today, and it made me definitely thankful for what I've done in the last 18 months.
How'd you quit cold turkey?
I had to. Like I remember saying, if it ever became a health issue, I would stop because I care about my health more than anything. And that was the moment I realized like you can die. Like it was definitely a serious issue that. Again, yeah, I still don't really know what really happened to this day, but I'd be curious to know what was going. But like anytime, like I wasn't breathing at night. Like my girlfriend would be like, "You don't breathe at night," which was really scary for me. And that's when I really started to think about the possibility, of quitting. And it literally came down to I can't even do anything anymore. So like this is now or never. So it really was the easiest option. Yeah.
And so as you started to do like the running and the marathon, like training and stuff, like what all have you done up until this point?
So I started to document my marathon training, and that led. I've had a couple races thus far. Last year, I ran my first ever race on July 4th. It was a 17.76 kilometer race, which is about 11 miles. And then I've done 10K. I did the marathon back in November, and now I just completed a half marathon about a week ago. And what I'm trying to get into now, and what the goal is in the ultra marathon, which is anything beyond a marathon of 26 miles. So the goal is August 17th, 50-mile race. So it definitely is ambitious, but to be able to say that I've done it, puts me in like 0.1% of the world. So that's what intrigues me the most. Because marathon, if you run a marathon, you're in the 1% of the world, which is crazy because I feel like a lot of people do it. But if you go into ultra marathon, you're in less than 1%. I think that's really inspiring to me.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. What is like running and doing the marathon and all of that stuff taught you?
It's taught me that I can do anything. You know, if it's really cliche. If you can do anything if you put your mind to it. But when I crossed the finish line at the Bass Pro Marathon, I was like, that was really difficult, but I did it, and I could definitely do more. And I'm definitely going to do more. But it's a confidence booster. You know, when I'll come on the weekends, especially when, I was still living in Springfield, with college friends, like, oh, yeah, I just finished up a 17-mile run, and they look at me like I'm a psychopath. But
Hmm.
I love that, I love it. Or when I'm, running in the pouring down rain and people, but I have to get my miles in and people are looking at me like I'm crazy. I think that's the part I love the most is I'm doing things that people aren't doing.
Mm.
But it's definitely been a huge confidence booster for sure.
Hmm. So we have the personal development side with like the fitness and quitting smoking marijuana and all that stuff, and then you started to like read books and podcasts, and learn from people online. Talk
Mhm.
to us a little bit about that.
So I never read as a kid, just like I feel like a lot of people do, because in school they just give you random books that aren't going to teach you anything.
Hmm.
I actually picked up a book for the first time, maybe at the beginning of 2023. I picked up the first Game of Thrones book because I was watching it at the time. I never
Hmm.
finished it. Obviously, it's like 700 pages,
Yeah.
but that led me to reading my first full book, which was Meditations, or yeah, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, which is about a book on Stoicism.
Mm-hmm.
But that's led me to a point I have probably a bookshelf now of 100 books or something like that. Probably 20 I just ordered from thrift books, but it's definitely been something that I've replaced a lot of what I do on a day-to-day basis with reading or listening to podcasts. So instead of, listening to music in the car, an audiobook or a podcast is going. And instead of sitting at home and watching TV or, watching random YouTube videos, I'm reading a book. It clears my mind. It calms me down, at night instead of because you're just overstimulated when you're constantly scrolling on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big thing for me is getting off social media. Like last year, I did a dopamine detox for about a month. I didn't listen to music. I didn't listen to anything. I just sat in silence. And I finally, for the first time in my life, was able to sit in silence and be comfortable with it. Because I don't think a lot of people can. I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of people are scared of their own thoughts
Yeah.
and they can't sit with themselves for longer than a minute. They have to be entertained, and that was something that really helped a lot. But with the reading, it allowed me to start to think out of the box. That there's more than what the eye sees.
Mm. Yeah. And so what advice would you give to somebody that's like your age that or maybe the 18, 19-year-old
Hmm.
version of themselves that is going through that stuff right now that might think, "Hey, I have to go to college, or if I'm in college, like I have to use it for partying and all
Hmm.
those different things." There's a time and place for everything, but what advice do you give to those types of people?
The biggest advice I give to anybody is start asking the question why, like a lot. Get the why behind the why on why you're doing something or why something the way it is. For me, college, I asked the why behind the why. Why am I truly in college? Well, it gives me breathing room to like not have to go into the real world, which was something I was scared to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that I wasn't going to grow that way. I realized that nothing was going to get accomplished doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to get to that true reason instead of just lying myself saying, oh, I'm going to go to community college and get back into Missouri State after failing out. And yeah, the biggest thing is really analyze how you do things and why you're doing them and who's telling them. And the influences in your life are the biggest thing. Obviously, the 5 people you hang out with are you going to be, but at the same time, you can still be around people. I think I developed that while being in college, where everyone else was still in college, and I was trying to be who I wanted to be. But it's definitely just who the advice you're taking from is the most important part. And don't take advice from anybody who's doing worse from you. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I'll say.
Yeah. So do you suffer from like the fear of missing out from what other people that are 21 are doing?
I did for a bit.
Mm.
I got over it really quickly. Um, it took some time. I remember when I first started to disappear from my social life and just kind of work and do my thing. A lot of people I would hear from my two roommates at the time, like, oh, this person's asking about you, like, where are you at, like, why haven't you been out? And it bothered me a little bit because I think a lot of people, when you start to change from the norm,
Mm-hmm.
people get assumptions on who you are. They start to assume things that just aren't true,
Mm-hmm.
and that bothered me. But the FOMO part, it really it was a short period where I was like, well, I do miss it, but also at the same time, I feel 1,000 times better now as a person,
Mm.
day to day, my happiness level. Not that I think happiness is the ultimate key,
Mm.
but I think my pride. I believe in searching to do things that you'd be proud of. And I was proud of that I got out of the environment I was, which byproduct I am happy about.
Mm-hmm. So have you had to surround yourself with new people then and remove certain people from your life?
Yeah, and then that's been the hardest part for sure. Because some of the people I've had to remove are still some of my best friends I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, you can't drag everybody to the top, which I tried to do.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that's not how things work. Not everybody thinks like you. And that was a big thing
Mm-hmm.
that I had to learn, was that not everybody was going to see the way I saw things,
Mm.
and that hurt for a while. But it was more in the last year, I would say. I was like, well, I'm just gonna go at this alone until I find a group of people I can do it with.
Yeah, absolutely. So transitioning a little bit, obviously, like you moved back to St. Louis recently,
Hmm.
obviously to come work for us and things like that. Plenty of different opportunities that you can find. I know you kind of mentioned you wanted to be in the building process versus the maintaining process,
Yep.
but what is it about what we're doing with Builders of Authority that like you were like, hey, I want to be a part of that?
It's gonna be the social media aspect. I I'll talk about it 1,000 times from here on. Is ever since I was 10 years old, I knew the internet was going to be something. I didn't know
Mm,
what it was gonna be. I just knew it was gonna be something big. And getting introduced to YouTube in 2012 as a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, I definitely, it was still so early on, but I knew that it was going to be something that it is now and that it was going to be. So it's something that I've always wanted to do. Last year, I started a fitness page and documented my marathon, because I want to do something with social media. So I think that was the biggest thing that drew me, and to be able to teach others how to do it as well, especially an older generation that knows now how important it is. I think that that's where I can fit in. Is 'cause I see that for being in the younger generation, I've watched way too much YouTube as a kid, so I saw brands rise and fall for multiple different reasons, and I've seen brands rise from, they were just Viners, in 2016, and now, they sell a sports drink.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so like I think a lot of people are in that phase of like, is social media good? Is it bad? Like, what can it do? And obviously, like what we are doing is helping people teach them how to build a brand separate from their business while their business also grows.
Mm,
So I think there's pros and cons to social media as a whole. You've
of
talked
course.
about doing like a dopamine detox where you just like weren't on it in general.
Mm.
What are some things that you've learned as we've started to implement this of like, hey, Andrew, go follow this? What are some things that you have learned building your personal brand
Mhm.
now through Builders of Authority?
Um, Definitely balancing consuming versus creating. Um, it's really easy to consume tons of content nowadays and just constantly be in the rabbit hole of scrolling, the doom scroll, and definitely get more on the creating aspect, and that even is interacting with other people online and not just scrolling on random garbage that isn't going to do anything for you.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm human, so there's times where you're on a video that is useful, and then the next thing you know, nothing's useful on there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely been a balance, but um, definitely creating over consuming.
Mm. Awesome. I know a lot of people like have questions just about your role at Builders of Authority, and I know we're still kind of in the beginning
Of
stages of
course.
it. So, just for full transparency purposes, this is literally day 4. So, Andrew had kind of came to me a couple of months ago and said, "Hey, I'm looking to come back. I want to be a part of Builders of Authority. Like, do you have something for me?" Time, no. More so, created this as an opportunity for him to develop business and to continue to grow and to be a sales rep is his official title. But I think it's continuously teaching me what you need to have when you bring on new employees inside of your organization. So SOPs, which we're kind of going back and redeveloping, proper training and all of that stuff. But we are kind of just throwing him in the fire, if you will, of, hey, here's all the different things that are going on. Here's what my day to day looks like, and to kind of teach him more every aspect of the business, which may be a little bit too much information in full transparency, but I think better to learn it than to
Yeah.
be in the dark on some of this stuff. So it hasn't been and probably won't be the typical training that an employee would receive going into a new organization. But what about what you've seen so far and what you kind of envision seeing over the next couple of weeks and months? What about that excites you?
In chaos, there's opportunity, and I definitely believe that over the next couple of months, being able to adapt to this is going to be a life skill in itself.
Mm,
I knew coming into this it was just going to be all over the place because hey, you're 6 months in. That's how it's going to be for every company, and that's what I love about it the most is that it's not structured. I'm definitely something I liked about my last boss is that he was laid back, but he knew you were gonna do your job,
mhm.
and that was something that I knew coming in this environment was that I already know what I can start to bring to the table and start to help with immediately. And over the next couple of months, once I get comfortable with everything and I know exactly what my role is, exactly what the plan is, then I'll be able to capitalize a lot more. But definitely the thing I'm most excited about is to travel with you to go to different speaking events. And then, of course, BOA Live on June 26th. I'm very, very excited about that.
Yeah, man. And so I know you mentioned like give the audience, I know we've chatted about it a little bit, but give the audience a like behind the scenes curtain view of what your role is going to
Okay.
be.
I mean, at the start, obviously, sales representative. So I'll be working at trying to add more business to the company at the beginning. But as we grow, I'm posting more and more content, whether that videos, long form posts, and really growing my personal brand alongside of him and just growing the company from there.
Mm. And from there, as you mentioned some stuff you can bring to the table, share with people like, hey, here's where I saw gaps or I see opportunities. Share what that looks like.
Definitely a lot of minor details from being able to consume so much content as a kid growing up. I've seen what works, even into in the minor details, of a video structure, and the first 3 seconds being the most important. How you say things to draw a viewer in. But there's a lot of different things on where the internet's going right now, and I think the two main ways it's going for content creators is one the truly more just uncut authentic side where it's just a video talking head of 50 plus minutes of them spitting whatever knowledge they have, and then there's the super entertaining version that still gives you that education but keeps you entertained second to second. Obviously, one, you're going to draw a lower or a higher attention span, and
Hmm.
then one's going to be a lower attention span, but you still can teach people with both. And I think trying to split test both of those is definitely something that I want to look to help you look into, because I feel like you get a higher quality client when you put out content that's 30 minutes long and like a podcast or even just a talking head video of you talking about whatever subject, if they listen to that full 30 minutes, they're interested. They're interested in what you have. Now, if you have a 30-minute video and it's constantly entertaining and there's explosions everywhere, you don't really know for sure. Now, they might still be entertained because, or they still might be interested. But I think you're going to have a higher chance with a lower amount of people on the long form uncut stuff. And I think that's what we saw that on the internet in the last 6 months with Sam Sulek, the bodybuilder. He just records himself in the car. He goes to the gym, and people sucker up for that content so much. And there's so many people that's switching over to that. Not even just in that gym bro space, but more in the business and entrepreneur world of just, hey, instead of all these cool and exciting things, here's a whiteboard, and I'm gonna write out exactly what I do for this sales process or whatever it is.
Awesome. We're going to shift the focus here to kind of finish up the episode. This has been great. Really appreciate your insights. And
Of course.
I think a lot of people are going to enjoy kind of listening to this in the early stages versus seeing where stuff goes. But a little bit tougher some questions in full transparency. So what are you worried about the most when it comes to a couple different questions? The first question is, hey, I didn't go to college. I didn't do the traditional way. What are you worried about? Maybe not just missing out on stuff, but like, what are you worried about? Maybe I'm not going to say growing up too quick because a lot of people don't go to college, but like, what are you worried about going this avenue versus the avenue that you had kind of originally started about?
My ambitions are really big, and that's what I've seen so far. Is I know it's never going to be enough. I'm just always going to want more. Once I hit 50 miles, I'm like, let's run 100, and it's going to be the same for business. I just always want to keep on developing and always becoming a better person. And I think now that I've done what I've done and what I'm going to do, I can't go back to a normal life. I can't go just go get a job and then like come home and go to the bar on the weekends. Obviously, I'll still try to, balance life, but like I'm at the point now where if I'm not doing something that progresses me, I'm generally upset, like I always want to be doing something that's helping me grow. And that's a blessing and a curse, for sure. It's a blessing in the fact that I'm just always going to be getting better, and I know that. But it's a curse in the fact that, if I have one day where I don't get the things that I need to get done, I like feel really crappy about myself. And so it's something that I'm gonna have to learn to balance. But at the same time, I'm not. A lot of people try to talk about like work-life balance, and that's something I've kind of tried to decipher, and it's something I'll figure out over the next couple of years. But I definitely believe in work-life integration. Having it all put together instead of trying to balance. Well, I'll take this trip this weekend and go relax. I don't want to relax. This is like all I want to do is work, get better, and run a lot of miles. Like I don't like sitting back and like relaxing. Now going to bed at night is nice, but other than that, no. Like I have to always be moving, always keeping my mind occupied.
Yeah, you're gonna need to figure that out.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse, and it's I figured it out much later than 21, but there's a time and a place for the grind, right?
Yeah.
Like you're talking about hustle and
Yeah.
grind, and you're talking about those things, but then there's also the time and the place of recharging to really take not a step back, but a minor pivot
Yeah.
to be able to get to that next level.
Of
And
course.
it's really a journey, right? You're gonna have to figure out some of those things. It's a whole new world, if you will, that is gonna come with its ups, its downs, and everything in between. So, what are you? And again, the question's getting a little bit harder, but what are you most worried about coming into an organization like specifically Builders of Authority? What most? I know you're excited.
Of course.
I know you see the opportunities, but what worries you about it?
Avoiding burnout for sure. I would say for burnout, it's going to happen no matter anything you try to avoid it. But I think it's something that you have to overcome because you're gonna realize why you're doing it, and then once you really have that why, in there, then you'll be able to overcome, when the burnout does come. I think that's the only thing is because I know we had talked about, when day one, you were like, yeah, I know you're gonna want to go all the way all the time, but don't because you will burn out this really quickly, which is definitely gonna be something I'm gonna have to really work on. But that's definitely something that I've thought about a lot because I know I'm gonna want to do everything and anything, to help for the first year, and then I know there will come a time where that does happen, and it'll just be something I have to overcome, adapt.
Yeah. What scares you the most about working for me?
Wow. Definitely. I mean, a lot of people. I talked about it with some people, and some people have ideas on, oh, don't work with family because yada yada yada. I think the way our relationship is, I think it helps a lot because you're a lot older, and I see you as a role model, but also we now have a chance to actually like get to know each other because let's be real, we don't really know each other. Like we do, but by the time you were in college, I was 6,
Yeah.
so I don't remember being 6 years old.
Mhm.
So I think not only that, the part of us getting to know each other more and build a relationship there, outside of work,
Mhm.
I think that will obviously be a hard part, but I think it'll be a much rewarding part for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I think you hit the head on the nail, or the nail on the head there is, a lot of people, just don't understand what it's like to have family inside of an organization. I know I never have. And so I would be lying and remiss if I wasn't like, hey, I'm a little bit scared too, right? Because regardless of what the relationship is before,
Yeah,
the relationship changes and levels up when this type of stuff starts happening, and your role is to grow the business,
of
right?
course.
So it's like, hey, like we're gonna kind of start to craft some more tangible things of, hey, here's your KPIs, here's your things that you need to be doing. And I think that's crucial of like, hey, we're going to put, and this is for anybody that's listening, that whether it's a family member or somebody that's a friend, right? A lot of people hire friends, is there needs to be black and white data. It can't be a gray area. Did I do what I needed to do or did I not? And I think that's where most people struggle. I know where I struggled in the past where I've either hired or promoted someone that I really liked, or maybe it was a friend or whatever it might be. And I think it's a hard part of business, right? Because you want to please everybody. Of course, you want to give opportunities to people that you see it, right? I've seen you do the work. You've been reaching out to me. We've been having side conversations for over a year now. And so I think it has all of the tangible assets of the opportunity that we kind of both see. We need to kind of figure that out together. And I think
Course.
it's going to be fun to really document the journey because I wing a lot of shit.
Hey, that's okay. Me too.
Yeah. Well, when two people wing a lot of shit, you gotta.
That's why we have Lorna.
Yeah, Lorna's a lifesaver in this process. So, Lorna, when you're listening and watching this, just know you got to keep us together. Well, man, this has been awesome. I'm really excited. I'm excited to, do this again in the future, and kind of see where you have came and where we have kind of come together and continued to grow. Any last pieces of advice for somebody that is looking to take a chance on themselves, looking to finally build their brand or take their brand to the next level?
One day you will be on your deathbed, and you're gonna wish you did more.
Mm,
No matter how much risk you take, you're always gonna wish you did more.
mm. All right. Well, that was a very profound way to end the episode. Where can people stay connected with you? We're going to put this in the show notes. That way people can reach out to you, get connected with you, learn more about BOA and all the different things that we have going on. But where's the best place for that?
Facebook, Andrew S. McChesney, and then Instagram is also Andrew S. McChesney.
Awesome, man. We'll put that stuff in the show notes. Thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thanks again to our amazing title sponsor, Go High Level. Without them, we aren't able to produce the quality of content or having amazing guests like Andrew here that we did today. Check out a free and extended 30-day trial in the show notes, and make sure to leave us a 5-star review, making a big push for reviews this year, and it definitely helps move the needle. And remember, authority isn't built overnight, it's built over time.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. We sure do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you consume podcasts. This way you'll get notifications as new episodes become available. If you feel so inclined, please leave us a review. We sure do appreciate it. Until next time, friends.